I knew the exact second Iron Veil Advisory Group stopped being a powerhouse of strategy and turned into a fragile illusion held together by ego and favoritism. It wasn't dramatic, no explosion, just the soft creak of an $1,800 designer chair shifting under someone who didn't earn it. I've spent 18 years in this industry. I'm a senior client strategist. That's the person executives hire when they need the brutal truth dressed up in boardroom language. For $4.2 million retainer, I can tell a fortune level CEO their vision is broken and still make them thank me for it. I don't drink before evening. I don't smoke. And I value loyalty the way traders value liquidity during a market crash. So when the board announced a strategic restructuring, I felt the pressure change immediately. The office smelled like expensive cologne and future lawsuits. The new CEO, Victor Hale, entered like a man rehearsing for the role of corporate villain in a streaming drama. 45 years old, teeth unnaturally perfect, and fluent only in buzzwords he picked up from leadership podcasts. Synergy, optimization, disruption. He didn't care about clients. He cared about appearances. In my world, optics usually means lying with a prettier slide deck. I tried to be professional. I've worked with narcissists, sociopaths, and executives who think reply all is dominance. Ego doesn't scare me. Sloppiness does. Victor arrived with a transition squad, about 20 freshly minted MBA graduates in tailored suits, who looked like they'd sell their conscience for a blue checkmark. They roamed the halls with tablets, asking questions that made no operational sense. Why do we archive physical contracts? Can billing be routed through an offshore subsidiary? Every question was a red flag. One Wednesday, I walked into the break room, now stripped of real food, and stocked with wellness shots that tasted like regret, and overheard two of Victor's loyal interns whispering. Victor says Q3 numbers need to look strong for investors. Strong or flexible? Let's just say we're accelerating future revenue recognition. I stirred my coffee and stared straight ahead. That phrase meant booking money that didn't exist yet, the kind of accounting trick that ends careers in orange jumpsuits. I stayed quiet. In this business, survival means observation. You don't bark, you document, then the atmosphere shifted. Conversations stopped when I entered rooms, closed. Door meetings multiplied. My access to shared drives began malfunctioning. IT issues, they claimed. Sure, my long-term clients, companies I'd protected for a decade, were suddenly reassigned to junior partners. When I confronted Victor, he smiled without warmth. "Elena, we need you thinking big picture," he said, leaning back in a chair that cost more than my first car. "You're too valuable for daily execution. Those accounts paid the firm's bills. They didn't want disruption. They wanted consistency. Consistency is the enemy of growth," he replied coolly. "Adapt or step aside." That's when I knew something was wrong. A week later, while reviewing a logistics overhaul budget I was still overseeing, a charge jumped out at me. $285,000 paid to Blackridge Consulting LC. I knew every vendor in Chicago. Blackridge didn't exist. The address was a Nevada P.O. box. The contact email was generic. The approval stamp belonged to Richard Bowen, our CFO, a man who once rejected a $26 lunch receipt. When I asked him, he visibly flinched. "It's a special initiative," he whispered, "above our level. Nothing involving my clients is above my level." He begged me to drop it. That night, as Chicago's skyline reflected off the glass towers, I opened a paper notebook, not digital, and wrote 2 words, Blackridge Consulting. The balance was gone, and the war had officially started. I took a breath that tasted like diesel fumes and relief. "My name is Elena Cross," I said evenly. "I'm employed by North Shore Axis Group. You'll want to log everything I'm about to say. Movies lie about espionage. They sell it as tailored suits and clever gadgets. Real life is sweat collecting under your collar, a dry throat, and pretending to care about budget projections while secretly copying an entire server. It's wondering if the IT contractor named Ryan is harmless, or a silent genius tracking every keystroke. My federal contact was Special Agent Carter. We didn't meet in some underground garage. We met inside a minimalist cafe 6 blocks from my office. The kind that charges $9 for burnt espresso and plays music no one recognizes. Carter looked like a freelance designer. Worn jacket, unremarkable haircut, laptop plastered with travel stickers. But his eyes never stopped moving. "Lower your voice," he murmured, staring into his cup. "You look wound tight." "I'm stealing financial records from a man who likely outsources violence." I whispered back, "Forgive me if I'm not relaxed. Did you get the files?" I slid a plain USB stick under a folded receipt. "They're encrypted, and it's worse than we thought. Blackridge Consulting isn't the only shell." "How many?" Carter asked. 12 entities, all linked." He didn't flinch. "Explain." "They're running layered subcontracting," I said, switching into analyst mode. North Shore Axis wins legitimate federal contracts, urban infrastructure reviews, compliance strategy, defense, adjacent advisory work. Then 40% gets subcontracted to a specialist. That specialist is a shell. That shell forwards funds to another shell. By layer 3, the money disappears into offshore accounts in Ballora and Kestrel Bay. And the work. Never done. They're billing government departments for reports built from recycled public data. Copy-paste fraud. "How much?" he asked. "Minimum $47 million in under 8 months. Carter exhaled slowly. "We need a direct link to Victor Hale." "He never signs anything. He delegates, uses Leon Graves, uses digital authorizations, uses me. Then we make him break," Carter said. "Push him," angry people confess. Walking back into the office felt like entering a cage wearing raw meat. Every badge scan felt like it might fail. It didn't. My probation status meant no assignments, just forced presence. Psychological pressure. I spent days rearranging folders, opening meaningless documents, while a background capture program quietly logged traffic from the executive floor. One afternoon, Victor stopped outside my glass partition. No smile, just observation, like studying decay. He tapped once on the glass, then left. Moments later, the script flagged activity. A large outbound transfer from his terminal. Encrypted payload, visible metadata, project, final reset attachment. Personnel list. My pulse dropped. This wasn't just fraud, it was erasure, and I was first on the list. 2 days later, my office was gone. Desk removed, chair missing. Awards boxed up in their place. A folding table and a bent steel chair shoved into a hallway. Workspace realignment, the facility's supervisor muttered. "Victor needs the room." "For what?" I asked. "A mindfulness suite." He displaced me to pretend to meditate while looting public funds. When I logged in, my computer locked. Access suspended, under review, public humiliation. They wanted me to break. I opened a paperback and started reading calmly. At 3:20 p.m., Victor appeared. "Comfortable?" he asked. "Minimalist," I replied. "We lost the Ironclad Dynamics account today," he said casually. "They cited lack of strategic alignment. That was yours. You reassigned it 4 months ago," I said. "If your protege lost it, that's on you. He claims you poisoned the relationship. Then sue me," I said. Discovery would be educational. His jaw tightened. "You're obsolete and you're dangerous." I left at exactly 5:30 p.m. Took alternate routes, changed transit lines, checked reflections. At my apartment in Westboro Heights, something felt wrong. Nothing stolen, everything moved. Books misaligned, spices reordered, a message without words. "We can enter." Anytime, that night, I retrieved the contingency drive, frozen, hidden inside a sealed food package. Old data, baseline numbers, and there it was. The financial manipulation started before Victor officially took power. Premeditated. They broke into my home looking for this, and missed it. The board summons arrived Friday morning. Emergency session, attendance required. I dressed in black, clean lines, no softness. Victor led the meeting. My face filled the screen. Accusations followed. Day, a theft, client poaching, corporate espionage, fabricated emails. Forged logs, termination recommended. Legal action approved. Security escorted me out. I let my shoulders slump just enough. Outside, my burner vibrated. They fired you, Carter said. Yes, good, warrant signed. We need one last thing, the physical server backup. I can get it, I said. Victor thought I was done. He forgot who designed the building's access hierarchy. Midnight turned the tower into a tomb. I entered through the service dock. Old MasterCard, still valid. Server room first, cloning initiated. Security passed within feet of me. Then Victor's office, recorder placed, and then, confession, wipe everything, Victor said. Move the funds, the senator's payment cleared through advisory fees. It's clean. That was enough. Fraud, evidence destruction, bribery, checkmate. I can pinpoint the exact second Iron Veil Advisory stopped being a respected consultancy and became a cardboard empire propped up by nepotism and arrogance. It wasn't dramatic, no explosions, just the faint squeal of a $3.0. Euro executive chair sliding across polished stone. I've been in this industry 18 years, senior client strategist. I'm the one companies pay to tell them their billion-dollar ideas are broken, and then fix them for $4. 2 million retainer. I don't drink before sunset. I don't gossip, and I treat loyalty like a rare asset during a market crash. So when the board announced a restructure, I felt it immediately. The air shifted, smelled like designer cologne and lawsuits. Then Victor Hale arrived, 45 years old, smile too perfect, teeth so white they looked regulated. He spoke exclusively in buzzwords: synergy, pivot, disruption. A walking keynote nobody requested. Victor didn't care about clients. He cared about optics, and in consulting, optics is usually just lying with prettier slides. He brought a transition team, 20-something MB, clones in tight suits, prowling hallways, asking the wrong questions. Why keep physical contracts? Can billing route through an overseas entity? Red flags everywhere. One Tuesday, I overheard two of his boys whispering near the break room. Victor says Q3 needs to look strong or creative. They laughed. Creative meant booking money that didn't exist yet. I stayed quiet. You survive nearly 2 decades by watching and collecting proof. Then my legacy clients, industrial firms I'd built for a decade, were quietly reassigned. When I confronted Victor, he smiled. Elena, we need you thinking macro. You're too valuable for daily accounts. Those daily accounts paid the firm's bills. Then I saw it, $310 Euro payment to a vendor I'd never heard of. Blackridge Group, no office, P.O. Box registration. Generic email, approved with Robert Keene's digital stamp. The same CFO who once rejected a $25 lunch receipt. When I asked him, he flinched. Drop it, Elena, for your own good. That's when I opened a paper notebook and wrote 2 words, Blackridge Group. The war had started. 3 weeks later, my name appeared on a compliance certification I never signed, clearing Atlas Dynamics for a government contract. My digital signature, forged, HR dismissed it as a glitch. Victor quietly started isolating me, then a former client called. Someone impersonating me tried rerouting their funds to a new holding company. They weren't just forging documents. They were using my reputation as camouflage. I contacted the Federal Investigations Bureau. My handler, Agent Miller, met me at a coffee shop, pretending to be a freelancer. 12 shell companies, layered transfers, $47 million siphoned through Belize and Malta. No work done. Government billed anyway, but we needed Victor on record. I went back in publicly sidelined, credentials suspended, desk replaced with a folding table. They wanted me humiliated, then my apartment was entered, nothing stolen, just disturbed, message received. I retrieved my hidden archive data I'd saved months earlier. It showed Victor started siphoning funds before officially becoming CEO. Premeditation, the board meeting came fast. Victor accused me publicly of data theft, fake emails, fake logs. Security escorted me out like a criminal. That night, I broke back in. At midnight, Iron Veil was silent. I cloned the physical servers first, then I planted my phone outside Victor's office. I heard it all. Wipe the drives, process the kickbacks under Blackridge. Councilman Reed is already paid. That was it. Monday morning, Investor Summit. $120 million on the line. Victor was on stage when I walked in. He called me unstable. I named the numbers, then the doors burst open. Fib, nobody move. Victor screamed, blamed me. Agent Miller cuffed him anyway. Wire fraud, money laundering, evidence destruction, bribery. Robert Keene was arrested trying to flee. The board was frozen in place. Victor looked at me like he couldn't understand how power failed him. Some things don't fit in spreadsheets. The fraud recovery triggered a whistleblower reward, enough to retire comfortably or start something honest. I turned my phone off, ordered a whiskey to my father, to integrity, to burning the castle to save the kingdom.